Ready to kick off Week 12 here in New Orleans. And Jeff Fisher in his 5th season with the Rams, 5-0 in his coaching career against the Saints, 2-0 as the Rams coach against Sean Payton. And Sean Payton, his team, remember they started 0-3, staging a comeback in Week 4, then won 4 of 5, and struggled through the last couple of games, losing by a total of 5 points. Saints won the toss, deferred, and so kicking off and taking it through the end zone, Benny Cunningham watching the boot of rookie Will Lutz. And so we will see Jared Goff, first time he's ever played in a regular season game indoors in a Superdome. The junior from Cal, and a change on the offensive line. Greg Robinson, the number 2 overall draft pick in 2014, is inactive today. Roger Saffold to tackle there. Jamon Brown up to the guard spot.
They needed to make some changes. Jeff Fisher, the head coach, promised us changes, and this is where we see it first. Jamon Brown, who has played on this offensive line, and Saffold has experience at left tackle, but definitely keep an eye on those 2 guys on the left side of that offensive line today.
Todd Gurley still searching for his first 100-yard game this season in the backfield. And on first down, Goff to throw and flips to Gurley, who has plenty of room. Gurley across midfield and inside the 45 of the Saints. Jarris Byrd brought him down.
Well, the Saints decide to pressure the rookie on the very first play and just scat protection by the running back. He's not staying in the block. He's making himself available, and nobody picks him up. I think it's Dannell Ellerbe who was supposed to run with him. Get a lot of space for this sprinter. He picks up some huge yards on the first play of the game.
31 yards, and in his second game, that's the lengthiest pass play that Goff has completed. Gurley straight ahead, runs into a wall and is shoved backwards. That Saint defense been playing much better in the last few weeks. There's Nick Fairley, the former Ram and Lion before that, leads the team with 4.5 sacks. Craig Robertson continues to lead the team in tackles, and Delvin Breaux is back after sitting out the last game, resting that leg.
Well, a big part of their resurgence, I think, on defense has been Nick Fairley. Somebody lit a fire under him, because at times I saw him taking plays off. I have not seen it the past couple of weeks. He is a major reason this defense is playing so well.
And that was a no-gainer just inside the 45 of New Orleans. Goff from the pocket floats one, and catch made to Kenny Britt, who is the Rams' leading receiver.
Well, Kenny Britt has to get involved early with this young quarterback, and it looks like there's going to be a matchup with Delvin Breaux and Kenny Britt all day long, and he falls down on this route. But give the quarterback credit, the rookie credit. He saw the matchup that he wanted, pulled the trigger, and made a great throw.
Down to the 27, so he's 2 out of 2, already nearing the 50-yard passing mark. And the Rams in field goal range on this opening possession. That was Britt's 50th catch of the season. Todd Gurley gets maybe down to the 24-yard line. Gurley averaging only 3.2 yards a carry.
Some of those problems with Todd Gurley in the running game are his, for sure, but the offensive line has to give him some space. And had this guy last week, and we saw what happens when he gets a crease run. He could take it to the house, but when the offensive line gets bounced in the backfield, Todd Gurley just doesn't have the quickness to make people miss in space, and we'll get a chance to see that today.
On second down 7 from the 24. 6'4" at age 22, Goff firing, and his first incompletion of the day in the area of Kenny Britt. Ram offense, it's been a struggle in the last 4 games. That's what they've put up. When you think about how shaky this offense has been through the year, it's amazing they've won 4 games.
And they won one of those games. They won that 9-point game against the Jets. Defense has done its job. You give a defense have a defense that holds teams under 17 points, you should win the football game. But these guys get down here near the red zone and they kind of self-destruct. They got a 3rd and long here, though, partner.
Needs 7 yards to get to the 17. Benny Cunningham, the running back, for Tavon Austin in the end zone. And Jared Goff, your first NFL touchdown.
Well, I think we're seeing what they promised, and they got man-to-man coverage, B.W. Webb on Tavon Austin, and Tavon Austin is a guy that I think needs to get more involved in this offense, and they give it to him right now. Right in your slot, right here is Tavon Austin. He's just going to run this little corner route. The help is inside. B.W. Webb kind of plays it wrong with that safety in the middle, gives him all that space to the sideline, and a really excellent throw by Jared Goff.
Well, the touchdown is good and an impressive opening drive by Jared Goff, but the penalty, and that's what cost the Rams last week in a loss at home to Miami late in the game. Kenny Britt called for excessive celebration in the end zone afterwards, and that'll be assessed on the kickoff, and that'll give Drew Brees likely great field position. So even when the Rams do something right this year, it seems like they make foolish mistakes. But what an impressive opening drive from Jared Goff. And Tavon Austin on the receiving end. Greg Zuerlein for the extra point right down the middle. And a 7-0 lead. That's the first career touchdown pass for Jared Goff. Drew Brees is looking for 455 in his career.
This game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Quick starting Rams with Jared Goff's NFL moment, and Drew Brees has had a lot of them. We opened the broadcast talking about how at age 37, in fact, Brees will turn 38 in a couple of months, how he has continued to pile up NFL passing records. Rams Greg Zuerlein kicking off from the 20 after that penalty, which we're going to take a look at. Tommy Lee Lewis with Murphy inactive for the Saints, knocked down around the 25-yard line. They called the celebration penalty not on Austin, but watch Kenny Britt come in and do a quick photo here.
I don't know that that's what you would consider excessive. Wow. All right, NFL.
Well, now it's Brees' turn from the 25-yard line, and the numbers he keeps adding, leads the NFL with 3,277 passing yards and 26 touchdown passes.
Inside, ready.
As you mentioned, Mark Ingram back in the lineup. Brees to throw, and incomplete. Pocket was collapsing around him. He was trying to get the ball to Tommy Lee Lewis. The Rams, they have 3 first-round draft choices on that line. Robert Quinn, former LSU star Michael Brockers, and, of course, Aaron Donald.
Well, they have a lot of talent on this defense, not only up front with those rushmen, but also on the second level of this defense. We'll get a chance to highlight LaMarcus Joyner and Mark Barron and Alec Ogletree, who play basically dime in the middle all day long.
Brees has a first down. The completion across the 37 to Michael Thomas, the rookie receiver who leads all rookies in receiving yards in the NFL.
Well, Michael Thomas has become the go-to receiver on this offense, and he's got a lot of great numbers in his rookie year already. Great hands catcher, great product for his quarterback.
Jeff Fisher, the defensive-minded coach, said, we know we're not going to be in a 13-10 game with Drew Brees. We're going to have to score some points. They scored first. Mark Ingram and the Saints responding. He fights through a tackle and gets into Ram territory, down to the 45 of the Rams.
Outstanding run. And one of the things you're going to see today, run is going to come right through that gap right there. But one of the things you're going to see today is the Saints vary up their offensive personnel because the Los Angeles Rams are down players in the second level. They don't have a Sam linebacker. Josh Forrest got hurt last week, so you're going to see some of their smaller bodies in here, and I think they believe they can take advantage of that smaller group on defense.
18-yard run from Ingram. Hightower in as Ingram catches his breath. Hightower thrown down for a loss at midfield. Aaron Donald having another Pro Bowl season.
Well, it didn't take long for him to impact the game, and he leads the league in stuffs. Aaron Donald right there. Watch how quickly he beats the guard. He's in the backfield. The tight end doesn't have a chance to get him and tackle for loss. Really struggle sometimes trying to find a way to describe Aaron Donald. He does so many things so well. He's only 6'1", about 280 pounds, but he is as disruptive as anybody in the game.
Mark Ingram back in
back to left 52.
on 2nd and 15.
Ready, what's that?
Time. Breeze goes short. Falling at about the 47-yard line is John Kuhn. It'll bring up 3rd down. Saints need to get down to the 35-yard line of the Rams to get a 1st down.
Well, here you go, 3rd down. The best 3rd down football team in the NFL, the New Orleans Saints, 51% or so, and this Rams defense does as good a job as anybody getting off the field on 3rd down. So great matchup here. Watch Willie Snead, his matchup in the slot. He's been their 3rd down specialist all year long.
Ready. You ready? What's that? Ready. You 90. What's that?
On 3rd and 12, blitz coming. It's picked up. Breeze and almost intercepted. Trying to go to Willie Snead. Tremaine Johnson on the coverage, and it's 4th down.
You know Greg Williams' defense is going to bring pressure from time to time, and they brought 7 guys, only 4 guys back there in coverage, and Drew Brees makes a good throw, but not able to connect. They get off the field on 3rd down.
Tavon Austin back to receive. Rams have not had a punt return for a touchdown this year. He has had 3 in his career. And Morstead, one of the best. Fair catch called for, and grabs it around the 7-8 yard line. Here come the Rams on offense, led by the top pick in the draft, who just threw for his first NFL touchdown.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
A story on the sidelines of this game. We talked about it prior to the kick bubbling beneath the surface. Let's head down to the field and Jennifer Hale.
Well, Chris, as Greg Williams took the field this morning, he told me this is just another return to a place I used to work, but really it's anything but. Behind closed doors, emotions are raw and threatening to surface. Saints coaches wouldn't even use Greg Williams' name in the locker room to players this week, but they tell me they know what's at stake here, and they feel like there is a score to settle today here on the field.
Since that incident in 2012, Jay Glazer on the pregame show said that Sean Payton and Greg Williams have not spoken. Here, Jared Goff making some noise. First road start, second series, already a 7-0 lead. He was 3 out of 4 on the opening drive, including the touchdown. From his own goal line, Gurley knocked down right away. Jarris Byrd making the play. That scoring drive covered 75 yards in almost 3 minutes, and it was Goff who came out firing. The Saints deferred. He flipped to Gurley and then to Britt. And Tavon Austin in the end zone for a touchdown. I was curious, Ronnie, usually the Saints at home with their offense, when they win the toss, don't they want the ball? I think they put the rookie in a tough spot.
I think they wanted to put him out there and see how he handled, see what his mettle was like here in the dome under all this stress, but he handled it well. He looked like a pro quarterback right there, and you got to be encouraged by the way he started this football game and the way they called the first couple of plays for him.
2nd and 12 after a loss of 2. Goff's 3 completions were of 15 yards or more last week. Of course, he had 3 on the first drive. Last week, it was rare to see him throwing downfield, and it seemed like the coaching staff, the offensive approach last week in that narrow loss to Miami, they played it a little conservative.
Well, they kept talking about how well he performed in the week, and when we talked to Jared Goff earlier this week as well, he said he's starting to feel like he's already taking ownership. Chris Weinke, his quarterback coach, is high on him. He actually told us, don't be hard on the kid. I was like, don't worry, just put some good film out there, and he started really fast today.
3rd and 9. There is a moment for him to unload, and he does to Lance Kendricks. Kendricks leaping forward toward the first down. Let's check the spot. And there's a flag down as well.
Legal block in the back. Offense number 11. Half the distance to the goal. 3rd down.
Well, one thing I'm already seeing that rookie Jared Goff is doing better is surveying the field. His eyes are to the left. Watch him come all the way back to his third read and let this ball go. Something he did not show me at all last week. This week we've seen some progress. But now they're backed up 3rd and long with that block in the back. Penalties have killed this football team. They got a 3rd and long here.
Spotted at the 6-yard line. 6 defensive backs in for the Saints on defense. Tavon Austin, the penalty called on after that gainer to Kendricks. Remember, first time playing in a dome in a regular season game, and the weather conditions nice compared to the rain in Southern Cal, but the noise. From his own end zone, Goff fires and overthrows. The coverage was good on Kendricks, and it's 4th down. He had an important run last week that got him a key first down, but that was called back because of a penalty.
Yeah, that's one thing, and it was the same block in the back type of penalty that brought it back.
Tommy Lee Lewis, the undersized receiver from Northern Illinois, who's come up big for the Saints, averaging 14 yards a return on 8 punts so far this year. Johnny Hekker from his own end zone. Rams are the stingiest team in terms of punt return yards in the league this year. Fair catch called for at the 49 of the Saints. Here comes Drew Brees, his 2nd possession, trailing at home in the dome to the rookie.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell's new Steakhouse Burrito and Steakhouse Nachos. By Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL. And by Kay Jewelers. For 100 years, every kiss begins with K.
Rondé Barber and I wishing you a festive holiday weekend filled with NFL. Hey, that Viking loss and Redskin loss on Thursday on Thanksgiving helping the chances for the Saints or Rams, whoever wins this game, to gain some ground in the NFC wildcard playoff picture with just 6 regular season games to go, 5 after this one. Hightower. Here a first down, close to the 41 of the Rams.
Good blocking on the edge of the offense here. And really nice cut by Tim Hightower to find that gap on the outside. And this offense, if they get their running game going, when they show some balance, they win football games. Tim Hightower, Mark Ingram, both have been effective this year on the ground. And as I said in the open, I think it has to be a focus against this tough Los Angeles defense.
He's averaging over 4 yards a carry, and good enough for the first down here inside the 40 of the Rams. He took over primary running duties early in week 8 in that win over Seattle after the Mark Ingram fumbles and rushed for over 100 yards in that game, his 6th 100-yard game, 2nd as a member of the Saints. But then Ingram came back like a house of fire against the 49ers and reestablished himself as a starter. Of course, battling that concussion protocol, cleared for today's game.
Kill. Mike 5-2. Ready. 280. What's that?
On first down, Brees fires to the middle, complete at the 34 to Willie Snead. The go-to guy, Mr. Reliable. Sean Payton and Brees can't say enough about where he is and how he gets open.
Well, Willie Snead is really coming to his own right there in your screen. And what I love about Drew Brees is he'll go through the motions, but when he sees an open receiver, the ball is out of his hands so quickly. And the thing that I love about Willie Snead is he is making himself available to his quarterback, and he is always all around the football.
Ready.
The free agent from Ball State. Hightower goes nowhere. Mark Barron, 2nd on the team in tackles, coming up to make the play.
You know, one of the things that Mark Barron did a lot, he's right here on the end of the line of scrimmage, is blitz for this defense last year. Now he's in a starting role basically as a will linebacker. They call it weak safety. But when he penetrates the backfield, he's really athletic, has a great bend, and he hits people with authority now. They go down.
Actually, a loss of 2. Barron, a former first-round draft pick of top 10 pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from Alabama.
Hey, tackle that 52. Tackle that 52. Ready. 280. What's that?
3rd and 7. Extra pressure coming. Brees gets the first down. Willie Snead to the 20 of the Rams.
Well, I promise you Willie Snead on third down, and you're going to see a lot of Willie Snead on third down. In this offense, they love to reduce you. Bring the formation in. Willie Snead's right here, and he's just going to run a little over route. Tremaine Johnson, their best cover corner, just can't keep up with him. And again, his quarterback finds his first read and makes a perfect delivery.
A gain of 16. We were here for Snead in the opener against the Raiders. He had 9 catches for a career high, 172 yards.
52. Hey, Mike 2-6, Mike 2-6. Ready. 280. What's that?
Breeze. Open again. Inside the 10. It's Kobe Fleener. It'll be first and goal Saints.
Chris, if you play zone coverage against Drew Brees, he's just going to dice you up. He loves to see it. I think you have to stay closer to his receivers, or he just finds them. He's so good going through the progressions. Looks one way, comes back the other, and like I said a few minutes ago, the ball is out of his hands so fast, he almost makes it look easy.
Came in a staggering 71% completion percentage this season in the league. For as much as he throws, amazing.
Kill. Mike 5-2, Mike 5-2. Ready. You ready, Brissett?
Fakes to Ingram, end zone throw, incomplete. Willie Snead was the target, but T.J. McDonald made sure that didn't happen.
Well, Drew Brees does something very interesting here, right? It's going to go right through there, but good play by McDonald. Drew Brees comes to the line of scrimmage, moves a running back behind him, makes you think that they're going to run a run play. And what's he do? He picks up and tries to throw that ball in there to Willie Snead, but good play by T.J. McDonald. The fans in here are booing, but that was a great defensive play.
Mike 5-2, Mike 5-2. Ready. You ready, Brissett?
Mark Ingram fighting hard, had to battle a lot to get down to the 3-yard line. It'll be third and goal.
This Saints offense is not the most efficient. They're the second most efficient. They have the most touchdowns in the red zone this season. 28 touchdowns. You get in here, you almost expect them to score. Big challenge for Greg Williams' defense to try to hold to the field goals, and that's one thing that Coach Fisher said. A field goal attempt against the New Orleans Saints is a win.
Ready. You ready, Brissett?
Touchdown, Brandon Coleman.
Well, a couple of things happen here. You get the ghost motion by Brandon Cooks, and you see Tremaine Johnson's eyes get diverted because of all that that's going on in the back foot. Actually, I don't think it was his fault. I think he was expecting safety help there, but they get confused. They follow the wrong guy, and Brandon Coleman is wide open for an easy touchdown.
His third touchdown catch of the season, as Will Lutz is on to try the extra point. Remember, the Saints have added a special teams coach. They now have 3 in that area after some problems with kicks that have cost them in games, but no problem on this extra point. Drew Brees, 455 career touchdown passes, and that's worth a smile from the combo that has been together for a while here. Tavon Austin, who had the touchdown catch, landed on the ball, and moments ago, Jen reporting on the sideline, he had a heating pad around, but appears to be good to go.
Yeah, I think the good news is he has a heating pad on. If he has ice on there, it usually means you're not coming back in, but he looks good to go on the sideline now.
Benny Cunningham on the bouncing kick from Lutz and gets up across the 25 to the 26-yard line. Jared Goff takes the field third time today running the offense. Friday night Pac-12 championship, Washington taking on Colorado. Colorado a big win last night. And Saturday night on Fox, the Big Ten championship, Wisconsin against Penn State, 2 of the biggest championship games in college football, and you'll see them Friday and Saturday evening on Fox. Grambling a big winner here in the Dome last night, the Bayou Classic.
Great games, college football last night. Yesterday, that Michigan-Ohio State game puts Penn State in an interesting position. Should be fun.
A penalty 5-yarder on the Saints on the kickoff added to the Ram return, so that's why the ball spotted up to the 31. Todd Gurley the pitch with some room to run. Gurley gets up near the 40-yard line. he got the offense going with a big pass catch from Jared Goff on the opening possession.
Let's take a look at Roger Saffold playing left tackle right here. He's going to pull out on this run play, get out in front, and make a key block here on Robertson right there to spring Todd Gurley for that little extra bit of yardage. And again, I'm going to keep an eye on those two guys all day playing new positions for this offense.
Tavon Austin has come back into the game after a 9-yard pickup by Gurley. Straight ahead for the first down, and he got it to the 43 of the Rams. Todd Gurley topped 100 rushing yards in his first 4 starts of his career, but that was as a rookie. He's only done it once in the last 18 games. His best this season, 85 yards on the ground. That was in week 3 against the Buccaneers.
Well, it's just amazing that a guy that has that kind of speed and just athleticism just can't get going this year. And again, the problems are up front. Some of the problems are with him. They got to get it right. This only can help this young quarterback.
Goff rolling left and getting rid of it out of bounds on the sideline. It really never developed. Tyler Higbee, the rookie from Western Kentucky, was covered, and so Goff is now 5 out of 8. Adebawale puts some pressure on Goff, who showed some athletic ability moving in and out of the pocket and even running a little bit last week.
Well, I think he goes in the locker room after the game and his teammates are surprised that he can move that well. But yeah, that's one of the things they love about him, his ability to extend plays. Coach Fisher kept telling us and said he's more mobile than he looks, and he's shown it a couple of times already in his first 2 weeks as a starter.
Now up to 220. He came in about 205 when he was drafted, adding some bulk. Quick pass is complete to Austin, who slips a tackle, and Tavon brought down around the 48 of New Orleans, just a bit short of the first down. That quick release got it to Austin in a hurry.
Not only a quick release, Chris, quick decision. See the open guy, throw to open guy. Football 101, right? And then put it in your playmaker's hand. Tavon Austin, he's going to make 2 or 3 guys miss, pick up some valuable yardage to make this a third and much more manageable situation.
On 3rd and 2, flag prior to the snap.
Full start. Offense number 18. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Well, you would think the rookie quarterback would be the one dealing with the noise in here, not the veteran wide receiver, Kenny Britt.
Delvin Breaux is quick to point it out.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you're the end guy on the line of scrimmage farthest away from the ball. Just got to key the center snap, and he did do a good job of it there.
So instead of 3rd and 2 now, it's 3rd and 7. You think they might bring pressure on Goff. Here comes extra pressure. Goff on the move, and incomplete at midfield. And that'll bring an end to the opening quarter. Good start for Goff and the Rams, but Breeze and the Saints have responded. We're tied at 1, tied at 7 after 1 on Fox. Resembling maybe a young Ryan Gosling, the actor, but far from Hollywood is the mannerisms of Jared Goff. The Rams, the Saints actually have their defense out on the field as Hecker is punting. They thought he might try and fake. So Jarris Byrd with the fair catch at the 13-yard line, where Drew Brees will take over. Brees' 60th straight home game with a touchdown pass, extending his NFL record.
Well, I don't think anyone is surprised by that, Chris. Those yardage numbers are good for some players' entire season, but he's got 6 games left, and I can only imagine these totals going up. That 71% completion percentage just blows my mind. He is as good as anybody delivering the football.
And add to that touchdown pass, 215th in the Superdome, most by any quarterback in one stadium in the history of the league. Brett Favre had 214 at Lambeau Field.
Ready. 80%.
Knocked down, the ball is out. It's a loose football after the sack. And the Rams have it.
You know, one of the things that this Rams defense does is create disruption and causes turnovers.
Mark Barron came up with the loose football.
And it's Aaron Donald sneaking through there, finding a way to get to the quarterback.
First down.
And I tell you what, they were trying to set up a double move there, and they just don't have enough time. This kid is so good up front, 99. Opportunistic on defense, pick up a turnover in the red zone, helps your score. You see Aaron Donald right there. Just look what he does to Andrews Peat. He's slow. You can't get lower than him because he's only 6'1", and he's explosive and he's strong. He gets the quarterback for that sack fumble.
Rams put 3 receivers to the right of Goff, top of your screen. Todd Gurley the back. First turnover of the game. Goff. Kenny Britt. Touchdown Rams. He fired it in a hurry.
I tell you what, they're not scared to let him show off his arm today. And this is a great design play on the outside. Really nothing you can do if you're a Saints defender here. These two guys are going to go out here. Kenny Britt's just going to run right underneath them. And Delvin Breaux playing man-to-man coverage. Caught up in the wash, no chance. Easy touchdown for Jared Goff and Kenny Britt.
Looking like his days at Cal. Leaving after his junior year, he threw 96 touchdown passes in 3 years at Cal. He's got 2 in the NFL now in his second start. And for Britt, his 4th TD reception of the year. Sirline's extra point, the Rams surprisingly on the road with the rookie take a 14-7 lead.
Each game on Fox is sponsored by Target. Expect more, pay less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Amazon Echo, information, music, news, and more. Just ask.
In the Big Easy, it's been a bit easy for Jared Goff in just his second NFL start. Last week at home, and of all places, Southern California, there was rain that had some impact on the way the Rams offense approached the game. They had a 10-0 lead before losing late to Miami. Some defensive penalties, not necessarily a loss you could pin on Goff. As he said, I could have done more, and I'll always think that way. But so far, a couple of touchdown tosses to Tavon Austin and Kenny Britt. Sirline ready to kick off. Tommy Lee Lewis will down it, so to the 25-yard line with Rondé Barber. Chris Myers, nice to have you watching with us. Well, Saints fans have seen this movie before. Remember, Jameis Winston came here as a rookie last year on the road, got his first win with the Buccaneers, #1 overall pick. But Ram fans are wondering, in 1 week, get Jared Goff, is there that big a difference?
Oh, he's breathing a lot easier today, isn't he, than he was last week? And who knows if those conditions affected what we saw, but formationally they're different. The playmakers are actually making plays for their young quarterback. So, yeah, this is a different Rams offense than we saw last week, and it's going to be up to New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees and this offense to match them. We thought it was going to be a shootout the other way. It looks like this Saints offense is going to have to match what this young quarterback is doing himself.
Well, it was the sack, fumble, the turnover that set the Rams up for that second score, and now Mark Ingram carries for the Saints.
You know, one of their challenges, the New Orleans Saints, and I know if you're a Saints fan, you're sitting there saying they got to get back in this game right now, go score points. They have to stay patient on offense. We know that this offense runs better when they do. It helps their defense. That was the storyline, a big narrative earlier in the season. And it's got to hold true again today.
Opposite. Mike 5-2. Alert. Ready. Ready. Set.
Breeze on second down, and a fingertip grab from Willie Snead. And they're giving him credit for the first down, and he got it.
Well, you're going to see a blitz here, and that puts your safety down in coverage on Willie Snead. This is a matchup the Saints won all day. As good as McDonald is as a safety, he is not a great cover guy, especially on a guy like Willie Snead who's having the type of season that he's having.
First down at the Saint 36-yard line.
You go. Caps. Ready. Ready. Set.
It's Mark Ingram with a big hole. He cuts back. And there he is in Ram territory. Another productive run from the former Heisman Trophy winner.
Great block on the edge there by John Phillips, the safety, or the tight end, I'm sorry. He'll come all the way over here and then turn around and get this block on the edge for Mark Ingram. Just another way to run power football, and look at that gap. And I'm 41 years old. I think I could get 15 yards on that one. Good run by, play design by the Saints.
A pickup of 15 yards. Remember, Jeff Fisher said we expect the Saints to come out and try to run and pound the football. Hightower knocked down right at midfield. Let's get a game break. Check in. Say hi to Carissa Thompson.
Hi, Chris. San Francisco at Miami now. The Dolphins beat the Rams last week, and here we go. Ryan Tannehill to Jay Ajayi with his 2-yard touchdown run. All tied up at 7 in Miami. Chris?
Thanks, Carissa. The rookie head coach, Adam Gase, the youngest in the league currently at age 38, doing a great job with the Dolphins. They're on a tear, trying to go to 7-4 and right on the fringe of that AFC playoff picture.
You ready?
After a loss of 1.
Hey, Packer left 52, Packer left 52. Ready.
He's worried about 52, Alec Ogletree. Breeze, pressure, gets rid of it, middle of the field. There's a flag down, making the catch, Coby Fleener. Inside the 20 of the Rams.
This flag is obviously in the area of holding on defense.
Holding, defense number 26. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
Mark Barron called for the infraction. Fleener the big grab.
Watch the hit that Drew Brees takes here from Michael Brockers. Still able to get this ball accurately down the field, and this is a fantastic catch by Coby Fleener. Good coverage by Mark Barron in the right spot, but goes up over top of him. Big completion.
31-yard gainer.
Ready. You ready? Present.
Mark Ingram down around the 15. Drew Brees, 8 of 11 so far. 90 yards and a touchdown. He did lose his 3rd fumble of the season, and that set up the go-ahead score for the Rams. Jared Goff with a couple of touchdowns. He's 7 of 11, 91 yards. 3 tight ends come in now for the Saints after they pick up 4
5-0, 5-0.
on 2nd down 6.
Ready. You ready? Present.
Brees to throw. Catch made right around the 10. Coming forward is Josh Hill, the backup to Fleener. One of those tight ends.
Well, they're playing some man-to-man defense now, but the tight ends are finding ways to get open. This is just a good throw. Ball came out quick. Good coverage by the safety there, but Drew Brees is just as efficient as ever. Get the ball to the open guy, and they're just marching down the field. This defense is, talked about in the open how good this defense plays. They're going to have to make some more plays on the football if they're going to stop this offense.
Extra lineman Tim Lelito in on 3rd down and 1.
Come on.
Ingram the back.
Jam. Mike 5-2. Ready. You ready? Present.
Mark Ingram hit hard.
It's tough sledding in there now. Alec Ogletree, and I think Mark Barron's the one that makes this tackle here. He's right here. Look, he's playing man-to-man. As soon as this guy blocks, gets his head inside, and I told you, when he puts his body on you, you stop. And Mark Ingram's a powerful runner, but nowhere to go after that hit.
And they're going on 4th down. On 3rd and less than 3, the Saints are incredibly outstanding. On 4th down, you see how good they are. 6 out of 7 this year. The pitch to Ingram. He cuts back. Mark Ingram gets a Saints touchdown.
Nice little play design here. Everybody watching that ghost motion go the other way. Flip option back to Mark Ingram. And he makes one guy miss. He only had to make one guy miss, and he did. Scurries in for the touchdown. You'll see a great block right here on this guy right here. He's got to redirect Alexander, and then he just falls down. Mark Ingram's going to run through arm tackles of Alec Ogletree, and there's your quick answer to the turnover touchdown by the Rams.
75-yard drive, just over 5 minutes. Extra point by the rookie Will Lutz is good. Mark Ingram with his 3rd rushing touchdown, and we are tied at 14 in New Orleans.
Well, here's where that skirmish started. Watch 94 try to jump through this gap here, and as soon as he goes over, Tim Lolito is digging into his chest, and that's where things get a little chippy. It's a family game, football. I don't know what they're fighting about down there.
Meanwhile, you kid because you care. The Saints will be kicking off. Hope you're having a good weekend. If you're not having fun and enjoying football,
Thanksgiving,
right?
Of course
yes.
I'm having a good weekend.
All right, we give thanks to a terrific game here. Who would have thought that Goff would already have 2 touchdowns and that the Saints would score so quickly on this Ram defense in the second quarter? Benny Cunningham will bring it out of the end zone on the deep kick from Will Lutz. And he's got a hole to get through across the 26-27 yard line. And that's where the Ram offense will take over. Jared Goff with a couple of touchdowns and Todd Gurley running well, and we're tied in the second quarter.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Citizen Echo Drive watches, powered by Light.
Rams take over at the 27 yard line. Jared Goff said this week prior to his second start, I feel like the starting quarterback now. Not looking over his shoulder. Case Keenum started the first 9 games of the season for the Rams. Second start Goff after a tough loss to Miami, has a couple of touchdowns, and in the pocket the ball is out. And the Saints are on it at the 10-yard line. Paul Kruger got to it.
Well, the pressure's going to come from this side of the defense here, and Jared Goff's got to make a quicker decision here. I don't know that he actually lost this ball if his own player knocked it out, Havenstein. But a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Cam Jordan, left defensive end over there, causing havoc like he's been doing all year, and he matched their takeaway on the other side of the ball and gives Drew Brees in this offense great field position back in the red zone.
Paul Kruger, who they picked up just prior to the season, added to the team, recovers, but Sheldon Rankins, the rookie, the first-round pick, helping to knock that loose.
Jam!
And the Saints take over. Turnovers are now even. Hightower, the running back. Brees comes out firing. Catch made down to the 5-yard line. That's Josh Hill. Make that Kobe Fleener. Some intensity down there. Fleener came in 4th on the team in receptions. The tight end position, Sean Payton said he's a different kind of tight end in this offense. The former Colt and Stanford star.
He had great years in Indy, and you come in here and people expect him to be the Jimmy Graham type receiver, but he's just not. He's a different type of player.
Tim Hightower looked like he was on his way in, and now it'll be 3rd down and goal.
Well, challenge for this Rams defense to get a stop here after a turnover. You know, good defenses and Greg Williams' defense are always good units. Take pride in stopping people down when they get in the red zone, especially on sudden change opportunities. They got a tough one here on the 1-yard line.
Those two came together for the Super Bowl title of this New Orleans Saints franchise when they knocked off Peyton Manning and the Colts.
We're good.
3rd down.
Ready. We're waiting.
Hightower straight ahead. It's going to be 4th down. Saints went last time on 4th down and scored on the Mark Ingram touchdown. Brees to the sideline. Timeout used.
Man, this was right a touchdown. Watch this dude right here go right, put up a wall right there. This looks like it's a touchdown. Watch how quick he reacts, and just a strike on the goal line puts Tim Hightower down short of the end zone. Good play.
Alec Ogletree moved to the middle, leading the team in tackles and having a Pro Bowl season, but the Ram defense couldn't stop the Saints the last time on 4th down.
I think they're going to go for it. I don't see any reason why. He talked earlier in this game about the redemption on this sideline.
But what do you think? Is it a run? Is it a sneak? Is Brees, you know, he can throw it to anybody out there.
Yeah, I expect some misdirection. That's what they do best. They get your eyes going cross-eyed, going 3 or 4 different directions, and somebody ends up wide open. But 4th down, 7 for 8 on 4th down this season. We'll see what they got.
See how close extra lineman Lelito is in on 4th down.
You ready? What's up?
Breeze, touchdown Saints. It was Breeze over the top.
Or you could do that.
Well, we threw his name in the mix because they were that close.
He presents the ball. It definitely crosses the plane. And unfortunately for Drew, he pays for this touchdown. Ogletree pops him right in the neck as soon as he gets over.
Well, look at the reaction. You can see him, Sean Payton, down the sideline, and the guy whose unit second time on 4th down didn't do it. Breeze's second rushing touchdown. It has been confirmed. The field communicator, all scoring plays are confirmed. They just want to get it right. And the 16th career rushing touchdown for the guy who lights up the sky with the football. But Sean Payton not hesitating on 4th down. I think he realizes he's in for a little bit of a scoring affair in this one with the rookie Jared Goff, as Will Lutz delivers the extra point, and Drew Brees with an exclamation point. Saints lead at 21-14. Thanks for coming out. Hope you're enjoying the NFL. The Saints in the red zone 3 times, and on 3rd down a touchdown, and on 4th down twice. Sean Payton going for it and getting the touchdowns. So now a 21-14 lead as Benny Cunningham is back to receive. Last time brought it out from deep in his own end zone, but got it up across the 25-yard line. It's a short kick that bounces up, and Harkey looked like he was reaching for it, but Chase Reynolds recovered it for the Rams, and that's where they will take over with Jared Goff. Let's check in with Jennifer.
Well, Chris, Rams offensive coordinator Rob Boras had great concern about how the noise might affect Jared Goff, so he game planned all week for how to make him comfortable. One strategy, he had Goff memorize 2 to 3 safety plays for every personnel grouping, just in case it gets too loud for Goff to hear Boras's call in his helmet. Hopefully that would make him more comfortable. They scripted these plays on Tuesday and have reviewed them every day, and Chris certainly seems to be working up until that last play.
All right, thank you. On 1st down from the 23, Todd Gurley, the back. He gets the football straight ahead with running room. And Todd Gurley powers for a 1st down across the 35 of the Saints. It was funny, we mentioned in a terrific run by Gurley, they want to get him going. He's up over 30 yards now.
Well, another good block. You'll see the tight end come over here, seal the edge. Todd Gurley's just going to swing it back through in here. Great block by Kendricks, and then just let this guy do what he does best, run through tackles. I tell you, if he would have bounced that, that could have been an even bigger game.
A gain of 13, 1st down, 36. It's Gurley again, this time knocked backwards. Craig Robertson on the tackle. Let's check in on the Giants and Browns with Carissa.
Thank you, Chris. After a Browns fumble, Eli Manning converts this 13-yard pass to Dwayne Harris. Harris's first reception of the season. Giants are up 7-0. Chris, Rhonda, and Jen.
Thanks, Carissa. The NFC East teams loaded, all playing well. By the way, Arizona and Atlanta are tied at 10. Teams affecting these two in their divisions on 2nd and 7. Goff with pressure coming, juggled and incomplete. He went out of bounds and couldn't hold it. That was Kendricks, who's had problems. Jeff Fisher asked about him during the week. He said, well, his pluses outweigh his negatives, but he's been very inconsistent. And Goff, without a Hummel run, it comes to the line.
Yeah, interesting. On 3rd and 7, he brings him up to the line with hurry up. I think the Saints will try to make a substitution. They just want to get on the field, see if they can take advantage of that.
Need to get to the 46 for a 1st down, and that's a late throw that's incomplete and wasn't open.
Well, the last couple of throws have shown some stress again with Jared Goff. That one to Kendricks was high. This one was late and outside. They get off again on 3rd down. The Saints defense does, and you wonder after that hot start if Jared Goff is starting to feel it a little bit more. You know, it's sometimes easy to come out and have those first 15 or so plays scripted and know exactly what you want to do. But in the flow of the game, you see how Jared Goff handles some pressure, especially as the Saints continue to mount up points here.
Johnny Hekker, the two-time Pro Bowl punter. Tommy Lee Lewis waving everybody away. Bounces at the 20. Lewis takes it and goes down around the 22-23. Well, you and I were having some fun about Thanksgiving weekend, and you were part of the oldest trick of the NFL prank book in your playing days. The Saints sent their rookies to get the free turkey. There's Will Lutz, the kicker. They hired an actor to play the guy at the counter who gave him a hard time. In fact, he even said to Will Lutz, you know, you're the kicker, right? The idea is to get the ball through the uprights. And Lutz didn't like it. There's Sheldon Rankins.
Sheldon Rankins right there. He was not happy.
They were good sports about it. I guess they did get the turkey at the end, the turkey prank.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Sean Payton got the biggest kick out of that.
You know what? Jeff Fisher was telling me the Rams did the exact same things with their rookies, and they have a new security guy had the same prank. But
don't you guys talk about that? Tell each other? Somebody warned somebody?
What? It's like a kept secret throughout the entirety of the season until Thanksgiving, because you know it's going to show up, and every rookie always falls for it. Good fun.
Ready. You ready? Set.
Breeze's pass. That's Michael Thomas, the rookie from Ohio State.
He's having one heck of a season, isn't he, Chris?
Yeah, and he said, Ronnie, practicing against the Saints defense is kind of like preparing for the Rams defense.
Yeah, these guys are very similar. Dennis Allen, of course, worked under Greg Williams all those years ago, and they have some very similar schemes, really. Play a lot of cover two. They have some zone dogs that look the same. Those are the blitzes that come off the edge. So you got some familiarity for sure between these two teams.
Breeze to throw from his 20, got rid of it and got knocked down in a hurry. Coming in was E.J. Gaines from the corner spot.
Oh, this is a unique wrinkle here, and you know, a lot of times you get that corner on the edge. You don't expect them to blitz. Drew Brees certainly didn't see him.
And there is a flag down but away. Yeah, this might be grounding. I don't know. Let's see where he was out. I don't think he was out of the tackle box.
Intentional grounding, offense number 9. There was no receiver in the area. 10-yard penalty. This is also a loss of down. 3rd down.
Well, it's not very often you see Drew Brees unaware. And you see Gaines right there coming in. He's surprised by it, and clearly nobody in the area. You have intentional grounding.
And we have a player being helped on the Rams defense. That is Gaines, slow to get up. He was the one who got in on Brees and forced the flag. Obviously the Rams will tend to him on the sideline. We hope he's okay. They're already thin, as you mentioned. Troy Hill, who was released and then signed back to the team and then put on the practice squad, is inactive, with Michael Jordan, the rookie from Missouri Western. Blake Countess, the rookie from Auburn, active today, number 24, so he may have to come in to help out.
Yeah, you got LaMarcus Joyner, who's also a corner, but he primarily and really I think only plays inside. So Blake Countess, 24 right there, is going to have to get some snaps, and we'll get a chance to find out what is wrong with E.J. Gaines. I didn't even see what happened to him on that play after he hit Drew Brees.
And we'll see if Drew Brees attacks the area that Countess will be covering.
Hey, Liz, Noga, ready.
Need to get up to the 32 for a first down. Brees has time, and he's airing it out. Incomplete, and there's a flag down. Michael Thomas looked like he got held up on the sideline trying to get downfield.
Well, I just mentioned Blake Countess.
Pass interference, defense number 20. The ball we place at the spot of the foul, automatic, first down.
I just mentioned that Blake Countess was going to be outside, but they put LaMarcus Joyner out here on the corner. Michael Thomas just runs a takeoff, and you know, as good as this kid plays inside, LaMarcus Joyner, he has some issues on the outside. He has a lot of holding penalties in coverage, and they won that matchup.
Sean Payton was aware of the officiating crew, and E.J. Gaines, by the way, has come back in, said this was a crew that calls a lot of close penalties, trying to take advantage as Ingram carries.
Coaches know everything about everybody, don't they?
They study everything and everybody.
They can't help themselves.
That's what they do. They stay up all night. In fact, Sean Payton has put sleeper beds in the locker room where the coaches are, so we could go to a hotel nearby by the time you check in. We could save that time and do more work.
As if those guys don't want to go home to their families.
Of course, he gave a break around the holidays. And for Jeff Fisher, Thursday's the usual day off for the Rams in their sequence, so it worked out well. They traveled Friday to New Orleans.
9-2-6. Ready. Oh, ready. Set.
Second down 12. Breeze completes to Fleener, who dances his way to midfield. A little bit short of the first down.
There's so much variation to this offense. You can line up 3 wide receivers to the top, or to the bottom, I'm sorry, and you got a tight end, ISO, that comes and sits over the ball. All the other receivers on the other side, and Drew Brees is looking that way, but the tight end comes into his field of vision. That's an easy completion. Check down, he takes it, picks up 9 yards.
I hesitate to compliment. We talked about Goff settling in. He got sacked in the fumble. Earlier we were putting up the numbers for Breeze. He got sacked, lost the fumble.
Just let him play, Chris.
Okay, it's our job to talk about these things. Breeze to throw. And completes, falling for the first down at the 45 as Josh Hill got up and then got down to the 42. So something with the tight ends working against this Ram defense.
Well, not only that, Chris, a lot of things that Drew Brees does well, but good quarterbacks are able to do exactly this. Watch him change his arm angle to deliver this almost underhand. Looks like to go underneath that rush there. Finds a tight end Hill right behind. I think that's 90 Brockers who was falling off in coverage there, but just one of the many things that he continues to do well.
Breeze dumps it off to Josh Hill. Tight end screen, and Hill inside the 10 of the Rams. Rams have an injured player back at the 45-yard line.
Well, Josh Hill does a fantastic job right here. Watch him hold this blocker, make it seem like it's he's in pass pro, and then slips out. Drew Brees knows he's going there all the way. You see the block by Max Unger. The screen is set up, and then he does all the rest of the work himself.
Over 150 yards passing for Breeze. We'll check on the injured player, Ethan Westbrooks, in a moment.
You're talking about offensive linemen, you're talking bad things. I want you to watch Zach Strief right here. Got to pay him off here, because look how far he gets down the field here. Makes a block on T.J. McDonald. Another 15, 16 yards after that block down the field. Andrews Pete, 75 right there, coming from the other guard. Great hustle by this offensive line.
Pro Bowler from Northwestern. Of the 14 completions for Breeze, half of those have gone to tight ends today. Hightower is in.
Jam.
On first and goal.
Ready. Set.
Hightower. And the Rams defense that well. We have to go back. Ethan Westbrooks was the injured Ram player, and the fans here appreciating his effort. He was helped up over to the Rams sideline. We'll check on him. And then there he is standing upright. He's the only Ram defensive player who has scored a touchdown. Rams are usually big on defense getting points, and it happened against Tampa Bay earlier in the year. I know Jeff Fisher would like more of that, but right now just trying to keep the Saints out of the end zone.
Well, they haven't stopped them yet here in the red zone. They need a big one here, because 28-14 looks kind of daunting for the Rams.
Travaris Cadet is in the game for the end zone. Catch made. Touchdown, Michael Thomas.
They're just playing cover 2 here. And Drew Brees is just awesome throwing this football in here. This corner's in the flat. You're going to see a safety come over the top. You don't really think that you can fit a ball between those 2 players in cover 2, but Drew Brees, like I said earlier, he sees zone coverage, he dices it up, and he has great recognition and understanding with his wide receivers. Michael Thomas makes a great catch for him.
You know, they took the high road publicly, but I'm seeing a little extra excitement in Sean Payton when he scores on that Greg Williams Ram defense.
I don't think there's any question about that, Chris. They want this one bad, especially for that reason.
On for the extra point, Will Lutz. And Drew Brees has turned this into a 28-14 game. Nobody sees sports quite like Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. They have the nerve to speak out loud. Catch Colin and Jason on FS1's daily sports talk show. Speak for yourself, weekdays at 5 Eastern. Well, the Saints have spoken up here. A couple of 4-6 teams. Given the close games that they've played in throughout the year, in fact, both of these teams have been involved in 8 games decided by 7 points or less.
And you'd be surprised that the Rams have the better record in that stretch. Saints have lost 5 of those 8, and the Rams have won 4 and lost 4. So yeah, it's the way the NFC is, especially this year. You're going to have to play close football games, and you're not able to sneak them out. You're going to fall behind. Big game here, though. Both teams sitting at 4-6. Playoffs are very muddled. Win here today goes a long way for either one of these guys.
Penny Cunningham will grab it on the bounce from the 5. 3 Saints, 4 Saints, and he slips past him and goes out of bounds around the 20-yard line, where the Ram offense will take over.
Now, Penny Cunningham made a lot out of nothing here. Watch 65 in white right here. Man, Charles Cadet, keep your eyes up, son. That is a big-time hit. And Benny Cunningham set up a great block by him.
Turnovers have hurt both quarterbacks because they were quickly turned into touchdowns.
Well, now Jared Goff is under some stress now, right? He's down 2 touchdowns before the half. They're giving the ball to the Saints to start the second half. They need some points right now.
Todd Gurley finds room to the 25. 2-minute warning coming up. Saints have 2 timeouts. Rams have all 3, and you know if the Rams don't do something with this, the Saints and Sean Payton the best near the 2-minute warning at producing some points. And Roger Saffold, who started at left tackle in place of Greg Robinson, is the Ram who is in pain here. Jamon Brown was the left guard to open. Saffold the left tackle. Let's check in for a game break again with Carissa Thompson. Carissa?
Thanks, Chris. Cleveland still looking for their first win. This doesn't help. Eli Manning connecting with Odell Beckham Jr., who left the game early with a thumb injury. Not bothered here. Giants up 14-3. Chris, Rondé, and Jen.
All right, thank you. The Browns remain winless. Atlanta's moved in front of Arizona 17-10. We have a timeout used by the Rams, by the Saints. There's Greg Robinson looking on, inactive, the former number 2 overall pick. He had some family issues to sort through before he could focus on his game, and had a key costly penalty last week. Andrew Donnell will come in to take the spot with Saffold heading to the sideline. Second-year player from Iowa. On 2nd and 7. Saints will have 1 timeout now after using that. Rams have all 3 and still the 2-minute warning. Pass is caught. Bradley Marquez has a first down up across the 35-yard line. A top special teams player. Second-year player, free agent from Texas Tech, coming up with a catch, and we've reached the 2-minute warning. The Saints at home with the lead. Jared Goff and the Rams have the football. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Along with Rondé Barber, Chris Myers, and hope you're enjoying the NFL on Fox. The Saints defense trying to keep the Rams from advancing. They have a first down now at the 36-yard line with 2 minutes to go before halftime. Tavon Austin spins up around the 44-yard line.
Find ways to get Tavon Austin the football. That's what Jared Goff should do right here in this 2-minute situation. He can create space without a lot of room. And I just continue to wonder why he doesn't touch the ball 15 times a game. At least give him an opportunity to do what he does well.
They have used him as a running back at times during the year. Blitz coming. Goff firing and open. He had to come back for the football, but they did not connect. Kenny Britt, and Goff knew it. Now it's 3rd down and 2.
Great route, bad throw. Jared Goff's got to make this completion. And he just sails on them, and you've seen 2 or 3 of these. That ball comes out wobbly, comes out high. Got to be able to execute those mechanics as a quarterback in this league when you have a receiver that's that wide open.
We have a timeout, Rams, on 3rd down and 2. Check in Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, we'll have highlights of the Ravens and Bengals in Baltimore. The Chargers try to knock Houston out of first place, and the Jags try to pull the upset against the Bills. It's all coming up on the Visa halftime. We promise not to make it up.
Takes a lot of makeup on that morning, on that #1 pregame show.
We never use makeup on here on location.
They have a great Lisa Ashley makeup staff back there that Vicky Drilling wardrobe, and I think that's Terry Bradshaw, Louisiana native. I kid.
You care.
On 3rd and 2. Backpedaling Goff, throws open, connection made for the catch. It's Kendricks, the tight end.
Oh, there's a big boy throw there, right there for Jared Goff. Got a great matchup out there, and it looked like the Saints dropped coverage. But again, his ability to extend plays, I think, is surprising everybody. And watch 24 right here, I'm sorry. Falls for the cheese up top. It's cover 2 again. Safety and linebacker are late. Good job recognizing it. Great throw.
24-yard completion for Goff to Lance Kendricks. Now at the 32 of the Saints, trailing by 14. Pressure coming. Goff fires, and that's complete. Pushing his way is Kenny Britt. Down around the 16, 17-yard line. Kenny Britt in his 8th season. He's working with his 10th different starting quarterback as Goff is rushing him to the line. Clock running, 2 timeouts, Rams. Whistle.
Well, one thing that we know already about Jared Goff, even last week, is that he is not afraid to deal with pressure in his face and deliver a ball to an open receiver. This was the 2nd or 3rd time I've seen it where he's about to get hit. He knows he has a one-on-one matchup outside. He just lets it go, and another big completion to Kenny Britt.
Saw the numbers last week against the Miami defense in a rainy Los Angeles, and the numbers today against this Saints defense. That last completion to Britt worth 17 yards, another 1st down. Spotted right at the 15. Benny Cunningham, the receiver back, is in. Goff fires. Catch made. Lance Kendricks. Touchdown, Rams.
Well, I was getting ready to say points of any kind are good here, but they'll take the touchdown. Lance Kendrick, good job. Isolated on the backside of this formation. Just right here. He's just going to end up right there on the goal line. And I tell you what, his quarterback put an absolute bullet in his chest here. He just falls in for the into the end zone for the touchdown.
And those were 2 things that stood out when the Rams and Jeff Fisher looked at drafting Goff: his arm strength, and in the red zone. They happened to notice that every game at Cal, winning, losing, whatever conditions, that Goff was effective getting points in the red zone.
How about his 2-minute composure there? Moving the ball down the field. He had a critical 3rd down on that drive. He got blitzed. He found a completion, and in the very next snap, there was a great pass to his tight end for the touchdown. And yes, those are the intangibles that everybody loved about Jared Goff coming out. We're seeing him on display here today.
And a rookie quarterback with a 3-touchdown game in the first half after Goff went through that first start without throwing any. 55 seconds remain. The Saints now with 1 timeout, and it's a 7-point game. Goff over 160 yards passing. Same for Drew Brees.
Well, the only thing negative you can say about that scoring drive is that they left too much time on the clock. 55 seconds is a lot of time for Drew Brees to get some points.
Randy, two different storylines that I don't think we expected for Goff to light it up like he has, and for this Ram defense, which in the last 4 games we mentioned statistically has been the best of the NFL. They haven't been able to stop Drew Brees or the Saints at all.
Yeah, it's very contrary to the storylines coming in, because initially it was going to be strength on strength and weakness on weakness, right? If as you're writing it out, but the Rams defense hasn't been able to stop Drew Brees, and this supposedly unimaginative and weak Rams offense has exploded here with 21 points in the first half.
What's great about the NFL every week, no matter what happened last time around, you just don't know what you're going to get. And already the amount of points scored in this game, rather shocking.
Good game, though. And again, Drew Brees, this offense, and Sean Payton as a play caller love to steal points at the end of half, even if it's just 3.
Well, if anybody can handle a scoring pickup game back and forth, it's Drew Brees. And they will get the ball. The Rams will be kicking off to start the second half to New Orleans, but as you pointed out, still 55 to play here. In the end zone, Lewis Downing it, 25-yard line is where Drew Brees will start. This past Tuesday, the Saints handed out Thanksgiving meals to over 1,000 New Orleans residents at the local YMCA. For almost 30 years now, the Saints and the YMCA have partnered to provide meals to needy family during the Thanksgiving season. Drew Brees, we showed earlier, too. It's a very nice gesture on their part. We showed the rookies going in for the free turkey. Well, the clerk said, well, if Drew Brees is in here, we'll give away 5 turkeys.
We gave away a lot of them the other day on that Tuesday. Great community here. They're ingrained here. It's awesome.
Willie Snead fights for extra yardage across the 30, shoved backward, but the clock is running here.
I think this Rams defense has to be a little bit aggressive here, because if they're not, Drew Brees is just going to march it down the field here with a timeout left and get themselves in the field goal range.
Omaha!
We heard an Omaha. Wide open. First down catch, Michael Thomas. And a timeout. They're going to use their last timeout.
The one thing you know they don't want to do is give up something over the top of the defense. So Greg Williams brought pressure on that last play, wanting Drew Brees to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Just got to come up and make a tackle.
13 seconds remaining, and Rod, in our production meeting, whenever they put this up, I get excited. It's like Christmas lights every year.
Yes, only after Thanksgiving now. This can't come up till after Thanksgiving.
Well, I always look at it early, but the possibilities, and that's why this is so important for the Saints and Rams to stay in the hunt. And we'll have an update on that Atlanta-Arizona game at the half, the Falcons leading. But you can see how well the NFC East teams are doing, and what a surprise the Lions have been in the NFC North.
Now, it's easy to think that, you know, one of these 4-5, 5-5 teams is going to find a way to sneak in. And if you're in the NFC South, you're the New Orleans Saints, it's probably easier to look at winning your division than it is to find a way through the wild card slots.
Both of these teams had signature wins against Seattle this year. For the Rams, it was in week 2. And the Saints beat Seattle here in the Superdome. They put more time back on the clock for that timeout, if you're wondering, so it's 26 seconds, not 13. The official said the timeout was called early. Brees gets away from the rush, tackle made on Hill, and the clock will run. Remember, they're out of timeouts now, so they need a big play and a spike to give Will Lutz a chance.
Well, Brandon Cooks had run all the way down to the 10-yard line. He's got to sprint back.
And there's the spike. 8 seconds now showing. Visa halftime report coming up with highlights of all the games. The Dolphins at home are winning. The Giants on the road winning. Atlanta winning at the moment. The Buccaneers will play at home later against Seattle. If you're wondering about the NFC South, and Carolina playing the Raiders out in Oakland. Both of these teams, the Rams lost to the Lions earlier this year and will face the Lions, as the Saints will host Detroit next Sunday here in the Superdome. 8 seconds.
Hey, 52-26, short left. Hey, push it, come.
And that's going to be a penalty, delay a game. Let's see the frustration.
Delay a game, offense number 9. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Now maybe here you hope for a pass interference because that would stop the clock.
That's
if you
about
get
the
it
only thing you
downfield.
can. Yeah, it's about the only thing you can expect here. Throw to the sideline doesn't help, and maybe you give your kicker a long field goal shot if you get 15 or so yards, but not much you can do here on offense for Drew Brees.
Will Lutz has made a 57-yard field goal. Brees can't find anybody. Finally does. A tough hit over there.
Marcus Joyner.
Josh Hill held on to that football.
I swear, man, this kid can run and hit. Little kid.
What a game. Drew Brees being challenged by the rookie Jared Goff in his first road start. And the hits keep on coming.
He may have
The
taken the
Saints.
worst of it, though.
And the Rams going at it. New Orleans with a 7-point lead. The Visa halftime report is coming up after this brief message. Obvious high-scoring first half, unexpected here with the Rams and Saints. Rams getting ready to kick off to New Orleans. And let's check on today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. You expect from Drew Brees to light it up. He's thrown for 2 touchdowns and run for 1, but the rookie Jared Goff in his first road start has thrown for 3 touchdowns. And that has provided plenty of offense and excitement. That is today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. With Rondé Barber, Chris Myers. We're going to hear from Jennifer Hale down on the field in just a moment. The NFL rookie record for touchdowns in one game is 5. Goff already has 3. Ram record is 4. An amazing turnaround in a week.
Oh, it's unbelievable what this offense looks like a week after his first start last week at the Coliseum. But yes, he's done some good things. I've done some bad things, but I've been impressed. Those 3 touchdowns were all good throws.
So the Saints will be receiving the ball here. They've been able to move on this Ram defense, which has been so good in the last month. What adjustments do the Rams need to make to try and slow down Drew Brees?
Well, we knew that Drew Brees and his offense, they score a lot of points. They always do. But I thought if there was one defense in the league that could match him, it would be these Los Angeles Rams. But so far, they have just been a sieve, giving up 3 touchdowns to 1 rushing one by Drew Brees himself. They're going to have to step up big time in this second half. They're going to come away with the victory here on the road.
Driving this into the end zone is Zerline and Lewis Downing. And one thing we heard Jeff Fisher say, and he allowed us to eavesdrop prior to the half, was the Rams have to get Todd Gurley going on offense. He's only had 8 carries. Meanwhile, Drew Brees has leaned on Mark Ingram, who rushed for a touchdown. 53 yards rushing in the first half. Over a 6.5-yard carry for Ingram coming off that concussion protocol.
Well, I feel like this is an offense that a lot of times run the ball reluctantly, but they know that they have to do it. And when Drew Brees is throwing the football, it opens up the run. It's very contrary to what a lot of pundits will say. You got to run the ball to throw it. They throw it so they can run it. See what they do here to start the second half.
From the 25-yard line, and it is a run. And a big hole for Mark Ingram. Ingram putting the moves on all the way inside the 15 of the Rams. From his own 25, a 60-plus run.
A lot of credit to Mark Ingram on the run. But watch John Kuhn, 29, on the block on Mark Barron right here. Look how wide this gap gets. Aaron Donald is handled by Teron Armstead and just off to the races. Nothing these safeties can do except for try to wait for the posse to come up and make a tackle for him.
And quickly they get to the line. He's over 100 yards. Hightower gets his turn and is knocked down right away in the backfield by William Hayes. Teron Armstead returning from that knee injury, and I know that Sean Payton thought that would be a big boost. The offensive line held together without him, but much more productive when he's in there.
Well, I got to give Andrews Pete a lot of credit for what he did when he had to bounce out to left tackle, but they are a much better football team when Teron Armstead is starting at left tackle. He's so athletic, and he was able there to hold on to a really good defensive tackle in Aaron Donald to spring that run.
Come out with a big run and a big stop by the Rams. Loss of 1. Brees is going to go down at the 21-yard line. Robert Quinn with his 4th sack of the year.
Well, no sooner do I talk about Teron Armstead than he gives up a sack to Robert Quinn, and he only has 3 sacks on the year. but he is still as explosive as anyone. Watch how fast he gets the edge right here on 72.
And that gives him his 4th sack. Loss of 6, now 3rd and 17. Breeze to Ingram with no Ram in front except one, and it's a touchdown, Mark Ingram.
Well, sometimes it's a guessing game on defense, what you're trying to do. And Greg Williams blitz the other side of the defense. Watch all these bodies come here, and they're setting up a screen out this way. Nobody there. I don't know if Mark Barron's supposed to have primary coverage, but somebody had a bust. He just strolls casually into the end zone like he's on Bourbon Street.
3rd touchdown pass of the game for Breeze. 2nd touchdown for Ingram. He's run one in. He's already over 100 yards, averaging 12, almost 13 yards a carry. Now he catches a touchdown pass from 21 yards out on a 3rd down play. The Saints have come through in the red zone on 3rd and 4th down. That's why he's so excited.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Nissan. Innovation that excites. And by Burger King. Now get 10 nuggets for only $1.49. Only at Burger King.
The varying emotions of the sideline where the play worked and the one where it didn't work. Head coach Jeff Fisher with his defensive coordinator. That does not look all warm and fuzzy. So now a 14-point lead. It's 35-21 as Will Lutz kicks off and Benny Cunningham on the move from just inside his goal line. Works his way up the sideline near the 27-yard line. Lets it down to the field and Jennifer Hale.
Chris, Jared Goff already has more passing yards and a half than he did all game last week, and Jeff Fisher tells me this is the quarterback I decided to start. This is why. Question is, can he do it with a battered O-line? Roger Saffold will not be back in the game. Doctors x-rayed his hand and those x-rays came back negative. Sean Payton tells me they'll be mixing up looks on Goff, trying to confuse him this half. He was not so happy with his defense's performance versus the Rams in that first half.
And to reiterate what Jeff Fisher said about get the ball to Gurley, but you're down 2 touchdowns. He's only had 8 carries. You got to hang in there with this high-scoring Saints team. Goff does, unloads to Gurley, who gets to the 35, still squirming, where it'll be 2nd down.
We put a lot of stress on your rookie quarterback, giving up 35 points in just over a half in a series. So yes, Jared Goff is going to have to answer a lot of questions here about his ability to lead a team back down by 20 points here.
Now you talked about 2 touchdowns here. You talked about how the offense, they've opened it up a little bit, maybe do more of what he's comfortable with. And that's what they've talked about coming into this game. There's a flag, and that's good enough for a 1st down. Let's check the flag. Referee John Hussey.
Offside. Defense number 94. Lined up in the neutral zone. This penalty is declined. Result of the play, 1st down.
Our referee John Hussey founded a charity, Pound Wishes. It helps raise money for animal shelters and rescues. PoundWishes.com. Love a pet, help a pet. And he's focusing on the call, which was declined because the run good enough by Gurley to pick up 7 and the 1st down. Gurley, they fake 2, throwing for Britt, and Goff overthrew him and was knocked down inside the 35. Let's check it again for a game break with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. We go back to Miami midway through the 3rd down, 10. Colin Kaepernick, 4-yard touchdown pass to Garrett Selleck. Niners trying to snap that 9-game losing streak. Interesting spike there by Garrett Selleck. Dolphins lead 17-14. Chris?
All right, thank you, Carissa. The Dolphins trying to keep their winning streak intact. Seattle in the NFC West, the leader over Arizona, which is trailing in Atlanta, and the Rams, and then there are the 49ers. Todd Gurley splits out as a receiver. Quick pass in a crowd, and it's intercepted. Kenny Vaccaro on the return and hangs on at the 30-yard line. The first interception of Jared Goff's pro career.
I'm not sure why he decided to make this throw over here. You see, it's just a quick out route. Kenny Vaccaro is just eyeing the tight end Kendricks. Makes a great play. But on the other side of the football, he has Tavon Austin matched up on Dannell Ellerbe right there. Maybe Sterling Moore was going to jump on that route, but I thought that was the wrong direction to go. Good play, though, by Kenny Vaccaro. Safety playing nickel, playing Wilt. Sam, linebacker, he's doing a lot of things for this defense. Comes up with a huge interception there.
Vaccaro, in case you're wondering, who had heard the news earlier about a test result.
The ruling on the field as the runner was touched down by contact. It will be New Orleans ball, first down. The ball replaced on the Saints' 49-yard line. 49-yard line.
They're moving the Vaccaro pick back, saying he was...
Please reset the game clock to 11:35, please. 11:35.
Touchdown right there. Contact with a Ram. And that looks like an accurate call. Of course, he didn't have the ball yet.
He didn't have the ball until after he was clear of Kendricks, so...
That would negate a major return that took it all the way down deep in Ram territory.
And that's what Sean Payton is telling him right there, that he was not in possession of the football before he was touched.
It's about a 20-yard difference. Wanted to mention Vaccaro awaiting test results, and then has to make a decision on a suspension. The interception is good. That's not what's in doubt here. It's where he was down that Sean Payton is arguing.
And if he's ruled down by contact, it's not reviewable. So there's, I mean, he can point to the big screen in the stadium.
But you can't change it.
You can't change it at this point anyways.
The discussion on the field was that the intercepting player was touched down by contact on the 49-yard line. It is New Orleans ball, first down.
John Hussey making it clear.
Well, maybe we can conject about this all we want.
See right there, he has it, and his leg may have touched his arm.
It may be the wrong decision, but either way, the whistle is blown. There's nothing we can do about it. Nothing that they can do about it. So it's a mute point, mute discussion that Sean Payton is having with the official now.
A moot point, not reviewable. Sean's just venting.
Nonetheless, he has the ball back with a 14-point lead, an offense that's smoking right now, and just has this Rams defense by the tail and is whipping them around right now. See if this defense can come up with a stop right now, because if not, I don't know what this Rams offense is going to be able to do to try to get back in this game.
Vaccaro with the big play, the versatile defensive back. Hightower is in after Ingram carried him to a touchdown and then caught a touchdown in the last drive. And Breeze dumps it to Hightower, and the Rams knock him back at the 45. Same offense against what had been a very good defense in the last 5 possessions. They have not had a problem at all. Right before the half, they ran out of a little time. That's really what stopped them. And Mark Ingram, 8th 100-yard rushing game, his second this year. He had that 61-yard run and then the catch that put up the 35th point. Ingram watching is Hightower. Is the back. Second down 6. He gets the football and falls forward. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
Well, all important 3rd down here. See if Greg Williams decides to bring pressure again, because I feel like he's been populating the box in the line of scrimmage with guys trying to disrupt Drew Brees, but he's finding open receivers and they're making huge gains out of it. So this is an important call for Greg Williams' defense right now.
And the Saints are right at their average for the year, just over 50%, which leads the NFL. And we have an injured player. They are checking on Armstead of the Saints. Teron Armstead, who is just returning from a quad and knee injury, and the frustration as he heads to the sideline. Sergio Calamete comes in. Andres Pete slides over. And on 3rd and 3, Mark Ingram is into running back.
Back right 52. Come across. Back right 52. Ready. You ready? It's
Breeze floats one for Michael Thomas, and incomplete. There are no flags, and the coverage was pretty good. The Saints arguing that LaMarcus Joyner may have interfered, but no flag.
I think good coverage here by LaMarcus Joyner. He's in the framework. He's looking for the ball. It's perfectly done. Looking lean. That's a tried and tested technique. Lean into the receiver, look back for the ball. They're not going to throw the flag on you.
Tavon Austin back to return the punt. Thomas Morstead standing inside the 45 of New Orleans. The Rams get a rare stop on 3rd and short against the Saints. Austin lets this go, and Morstead's kick, he goes into the end zone. It's a major break for the Rams. Ball comes out, and they'll have better field position than if Austin had fair caught it. Rams have the football, trailing by 14.
Game is sponsored by Verizon. It's always a great gift on Verizon.
Back at a festive Superdome Friday night, the Pac-12 championship. It's Washington and Colorado. And then Saturday night, the Big Ten championship, Wisconsin and Penn State. Two of the biggest championship games in college football, and you can see them on Fox Friday and Saturday night. Jared Goff, his first turnovers of his pro career. Earlier lost a fumble, then an interception from the 20-yard line. Tavon Austin gets up across the 30. 3 touchdown passes in the game for Jared Goff in his first road start after sitting for 10 weeks, 9 games. Some Ram fans are saying, why didn't they unleash him a little earlier?
You know, I do agree that it helped for him to sit. But if I was going to see what I'm seeing today, I'm kind of with you. Why not put this guy in? He's showing great composure today for me. Even after the interception, the look on his face didn't change. He's very, very even-keeled, and it's only going to serve to help him as he learns to play in this league.
After the first down pickup right at the 30. Extra pressure is picked up. The throw, Kenny Britt has it. Tackled right away. Well, Goff said, I trust what the coaches are doing. When he sat and watched, they talked about coming from a spread offense, not taking a lot of snaps over center. But a smart young player who, as his coaching staff said, he can put the ball in tight windows, and the arm strength has never been a question.
Well, he's not scared to put the ball in tight windows. And obviously, as evidenced by the interception he just threw trying to get the ball to Kendricks. But he does offer you a little bit more in terms of height mobility over Case Keenum. And it's good to see him playing this well in his second start.
At 6'4", on second down, into a crowd goes Gurley, and it'll bring up 3rd down.
You know, you talk about rookie quarterbacks. I mean, look at all this stuff he's doing. Changing the play, setting protections, communicating with his receiver, buttering up. And here comes the strong arm Jared Goff delivering a strike to his wide receiver. That's good stuff for a young quarterback.
I think people were judging too quickly and harshly when he didn't play before he had a chance to prove himself with Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott, what other rookie quarterbacks were doing. Now he's got a 3rd and 4. Complete. Brian Quick is short of the first down. Ball came out after, but they whistled down right away. So it is a catch, but not a first down. And this is where Jeff Fisher, you're on your own side of the field. You know, last week they didn't go for it. Of course, a different circumstance. They had the lead. They were at the other team's 40, and they, on 4th and 1, kicked a field goal, which was missed. Tried to kick a field goal here. Even though they're down 2 touchdowns, too early to gamble.
Well, you say that.
But a fake punt, you never know.
You never know.
Johnny Hecker, the former high school quarterback. And the Saints are aware of that. He'll boom it away. give him room for the fair catch. And what a terrific kick without a return and deep inside the 10. Hecker delivers a 53-yarder. Saints take over on offense, leading by 14. Johnny Hecker and the Rams punt coverage team, the best in the league. He had a 78-yarder against the Jets earlier in the year. He has thrown 10 passes in 4 seasons, but none this year from the punt formation. Breeze on first down to Michael Thomas, who slips one tackle and then is thrown down inside the 10. Corey Littleton got there after Tremaine Johnson and slow to get up. Both teams have lost their starting left tackle today. Armstead for the Saints, and then Saffold, who moved into that spot for Greg Robinson. They're out for the remainder of the game. And the Ram defense, which held up last time after the interception. That was a big call, too, on the return, by the way. The officials downing it now have a chance to pin the Saints and Breeze back inside their own 10 further.
Hey, jam. Man 5-2, man 5-2. Ready. Ready. That's right.
Breeze gets rid of it. Let's get a game break and check in again with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. Back to Miami we go. Dolphins looking for their 6th win in a row. 17-14 late third. Ryan Tannehill finds Kenny Stills for this 43-yard score. Miami leads 24-14. Chris, Rondé, and Jen.
All right, thank you. Dolphins rolling. And in case people were wondering, when Breeze got rid of the ball, receiver in the area.
Yeah, he was looking for Mark Ingram, got caught up in that wash, so no penalty there. 3rd and long, though. Rams defense needs to stop here. Backed up situation. You'll give good field position to your quarterback. But they have not done their job. 4 of 9 are the Saints on 3rd down today.
Breeze has been sacked twice. They rush only 3. And what a catch! And still going, Michael Thomas to the 45.
It does not matter what they are doing. This is Michael Thomas here, just runs this deep in route behind this zone coverage. And I continue to say, you play zone coverage with Drew Brees, give him a little bit of time. They only rush 3. He's going to find the right throw, and he's so accurate down the field. Picks up a big gainer on that 3rd down.
Michael Thomas, the game's leading receiver with 6 catches and 69 yards, had the earlier touchdown. Breeze is nearing the 250-yard passing mark. He's got 3 touchdowns, and he ran one in himself from a yard out. Rams jumped, it looked like. Flag flies. Free play for Breeze, it appears, as Josh Hill has it.
Obviously, that's going to be offsides on the Rams, but you're just demoralized.
Offside, defense number 92. That penalty is declined. Result of play, 1st down.
It just demoralizes the defense when you give up a 3rd and long, pick up big yardage. And then as a defender, you got to fight that urge to want to make a play right now. And they knew they had some opportunities for hard count because this Rams defense is so quick trigger, and they got it there, picked up some more big yardage. Now they're right back knocking on the red zone here.
Well, if you're the Rams and your strength of your team is defense, you've got to do better. I know you're facing Breeze and Sean Payton and the creativity of the Saints offense, but they are just not measuring up. Hill career high 6 catches, and there goes Ingram again, all the way to the 25-yard line.
Well, the issue with the Rams trying to stop the Saints offense, there's just so many weapons. It's not as if it's one guy. Obviously, the runner's playing well, Mark Ingram, but you know, Drew Brees is going to find 7 to 9 receivers every single game. 9 guys on this team have more than 10 catches. That's just amazing. You just don't see that in the NFL, the ability to distribute the ball that well. There's just too many options for these Rams to deal with today.
Straight ahead is John Kuhn, and 1st down New Orleans. Clock running, just over 4 minutes in the 3rd. They came out in the 2nd half with a big Mark Ingram run, and then Breeze flipped it to him for a touchdown. And it's been the only scoring so far in this 3rd quarter.
Well, aside from a turnover, it doesn't feel like the Rams defense is going to do anything to stop this offense right now. Move the ball down the field at will.
Ready. 20.
Breeze floats one, catch made, and Thomas is in for the touchdown.
Well, I know one thing. If you're Sean Payton and Drew Brees, all you do is study other teams' tendencies. Obviously, they know Greg Williams' tendencies. But I want you to watch what Gaines does right here. He has to read the run because he's expected to make a play in the run game if it comes out there. Gets no reroute. Safety's laid over the top. Touchdown.
Close call over on the far side to be confirmed. And it was. So Lutz's kick. 42 points the Saints have put up. And Drew Brees, 30 touchdown passes this season. We're in game 11. A 92-yard drive. You know, you just get the feeling that it is personal and it is business. And look what the offensive Sean Payton has done against the Rams defense and one-time Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams.
Well, Drew Brees was very quiet during the week talking about that whole situation. But he's been very loud today on the field. He talked about his completion percentage. He's well over 78% for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, if you're trying to make a statement against your ex-defensive coordinator, consider it job done already.
Remember, the Rams came in their last 4-game stretch, one of the better defenses in the league, holding opponents to low point totals. Cunningham will have to down that. Rams start at the 25-yard line. After a 2-year investigation, the NFL claimed that the Saints had bounties for hits on opposing players. Williams met with the commissioner about the accusations, admitted to some wrongdoing. They handed down a 1-year suspension for Sean Payton. Greg Williams suspended indefinitely, eventually brought back. Saints were also fined $500,000 and lost a couple of second-round draft picks. First time for Williams back in New Orleans. Todd Gurley works his way up across the 31-yard line. Well, now you know why. When the Rams had that 4th and 1, even though it was at their own 40, it was worth raising the question, why not go for it? You're going to give the ball back to that Saint offense.
You almost feel like they have to the rest of the game. I mean, you're chasing it now at this point. You're down 21 points. You're in a no-huddle, hurry-up offense already. There's 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
Goff has to get rid of it. Knocked down as he did. He's comfortable, even though this is his 2nd start, on running the no-huddle and the hurry-up. At least that's what he and his coaches have said.
Well, Robinson had a delayed blitz here and just right underneath the chin strap of Jared Goff. Took a shot there.
Case Keenum, who started the first 9 games and has been a loyal teammate helping Jared Goff with the rookie transition. 3rd down and 2. Blitz. And Goff is down. Von Bell, rookie on rookie. And a flag down.
Holding, defense number 59. By a penalty, automatic, 1st down.
The call, Dannell Ellerbe.
And this is absolutely the right call. Dannell Ellerbe right here. Watch him grab Benny Cunningham as he inserts into this blitz. He has him man coverage, thinks he's blocking, but he's not. Got to grab him. And I'm not sure that Jared Goff would have found him for the reception anyways, but it is a penalty.
4 penalties have been accepted on each team today. Fresh set of downs for the Rams at the 37.5-yard line of Los Angeles. And that'll move the Rams back a bit.
False start. Offense number 64. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's on Dannell, who had to come in for Roger Saffold, the starting left tackle, who was injured.
Well, the thing right now, if you're the New Orleans Rams defense, you're Dennis Allen on the sideline. You know this team is going to sit and gun, try to get back in this football game as he goes under center. Geez, I think I played this game, know what I'm talking about. But they can pin their ears back on defense and get after this quarterback, see if they continue to put their quarterback in harm's way here.
Need to get to the 48. Here comes another flag.
Full start. Offense number 89. 5-yard penalty. First down.
You know, it was defensive penalties for the most part that hurt the Rams last week in that loss to Miami.
Well, the Rams need to absolutely settle down right now. Pressure-packed situation. You're on the road. It's getting loud in here. You can't get it all back at one point. You just got to continue to focus on your technique, doing your job, and giving yourself a chance to climb back into this football game. But these two successive penalties are not helping.
Goff has to go to the sideline. Austin will go out of bounds with a minimal gain. Let's hit another game break. Check in with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. Back to Miami. Drew Brees is having a great day. So is Ryan Tannehill. It was 24-14 when he connects with Deontay Carew for this 15-yard score. Miami's up 31-14. If this score holds up, the Niners will have lost their 10th straight. Chris, Rondé, and Jen.
And the Dolphins will continue with their winning streak. Thanks, Carissa. As we look at the AFC East, the Rams will play at New England next week. After a pickup of 5, second down. Goff is going to go down. And this time there are no flags. Give Cameron Jordan the sack. Ellery was in on it.
Well, these two guys, it's going to come just like that, and they're almost untouched getting to the quarterback. Sorry, I had the wrong guy circled there, but Cam Jordan playing some great football. And just mentioned being able to pin your ears back, not having to slow down because of the run game. These guys are just hunting after Jared Goff right now. He's going to have to find a way to make some quicker decisions. He's going to keep taking these kind of hits.
Cam Jordan has not missed a game in his career, 91st straight game. Here comes a flag as the pass goes to Benny Cunningham up at the 35. Not good enough for the first down.
Two-minute motion on the offense, all both at the same time. This penalty is declined, brings up fourth down. What's the call?
The referee explaining to Jared Goff. Clock running here. And the punting unit on its way out on 4th and 12. And the third quarter winding down.
Well, that was not a good sequence on offense for the Los Angeles Rams, and hard to put fault on your young quarterback there when you're getting all these false starts and penalties backing you up in unmanageable situations.
Tommy Lee Lewis fumbles the football, but the Saints look like they got out at first. A missed opportunity by the Rams, but Shiloh Kao came up with it. And the Saints will have the football and a 42-21 lead at the end of 3. As we start the fourth quarter, Tommy Lee Lewis almost. Saints fortunate to get that back as Michael Thomas of the Rams missed a chance to recover. And Sean Payton going at it. The rookie didn't want to hear it.
It's like your dad yelling at you. You know I'm right. Yes, I know you're right. I know you're right. I know you know I'm right. But yes, they have had so many woes on special teams. And obviously they rep it and they talk about it. They can't afford to have miscues anymore this year. That's why they brought in that third special teams assistant.
Hightower carries. Ogletree as he surges across the 26-yard line. Well, young Jared Goff got the Rams going early and looked like he could go toe-to-toe for a while with the Saints. What jumps out to me, the rushing yards for the Saints compared to the Rams, and Gurley again not near 100 yards.
Well, they had that explosive run by Ingram to start the second half. That's where a lot of that yardage comes from. But yes, when you're trailing in a football game, Todd Gurley hasn't been able to be a factor in the running game. He showed a little bit better than he has, but it's not that type of game.
Tommy Lee Lewis gets a carry and steps out of bounds, but looked like he had enough for the first down.
Well, that's good coaching, Sean Payton, right? Just gave him the business when he came to the sideline, and he does him a favor, builds his confidence, puts him in the game, and hands him the football. You know, that's what a lot of these guys love about their head coach, is that he's not going to give up on you. If you're in the game plan, you're in the game plan. You got a chance for a little bit of retribution there with that run.
Saints will work the clock. Drew Brees with 30 touchdown passes this season, 9th time. That ties him with Favre and Manning for most all-time in NFL history, as Hightower carries across the 37-yard line. And for Brees, his 30th 4-touchdown passing game. And you throw in the keeper to the end zone, and he has been an important factor against this Ram defense that they haven't been able to figure out.
I don't want to say this Rams defense didn't come to play, because they did. Obviously, they come to play every week. I haven't seen a film where they're not flying around impacting games. They had the turnover early, but since then it's been all Saints and Drew Brees and this offense just having their will with them.
Over 430 total yards for New Orleans. Attack a few more on, close to the first down. Michael Thomas lunging. He doesn't play like a rookie.
Certainly doesn't. He doesn't look like a rookie, doesn't act like a rookie. He's very mature, and he understands that he knows that he needs to get better. Got a great teacher in that regard in Drew Brees, and I don't know what week it was, because we had these guys week 1, but by the time we saw him again in week 4, he had already taken huge steps as a receiver in this league, and the ensuing 12 or 11 weeks, whatever it's been, have been just continue to showcase how good of a player he can be.
2 touchdown catches today. 8 catches for the game. Hightower near the 45-yard line. Let's check on the Falcons and Cardinals with Kurt Menefee.
Yes, another NFC South versus West matchup going the way of the South. Taylor Gabriel turns on the speed, 25-yard score, his second of the day. Atlanta rolling right now, 7.5 left, 31-13 over the Cardinals. Chris, Rondé, and Jen.
And Kurt, the leaders, Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan, off to a good first half and surging into the second half. Later, that NFC West South thing takes place in Tampa with Seattle and the Bucs, Tampa Bay and Jameis Winston at 5-5. Flag down. Cadet slips to the 47 of the Rams. E.J. Gaines, who was slow to get up earlier, is ailing again.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the same team. Illegal shift, 2 men moving on the offense. That penalty is declined. Holding, offense number 73. That penalty is enforced 10 yards from the previous spot. Second down.
Jari Evans, the call. Rams will accept that one. And we'll check on the injury here in New Orleans.
Each game is sponsored by the all-new 2017 Ford Super Duty. This is the next level. And by the $10 any carry-out deal from Pizza Hut. Only at Pizza Hut.
Here in New Orleans, Rams already injury ravaged in the secondary. E.J. Gaines taken to the cart. Saints have a 2nd and 18 after the penalty. They've only had to punt twice today, piling up 42 points. Mark Ingram, plenty of running room, and to midfield. He makes it look easy, short of the first down, increasing his 12-yard per carry average in this game.
Well, there's a bunch of missed tackles on this run here, and you get 2nd and long. You got to expect it's a draw or a screen, and then just running by. There's rookie Countess coming in, and 15 yards down the field, they finally get the runner on the ground. And this Saints offense, Chris, when I start breaking into numbers, I'm not a big numbers guy, but they lead the league in first downs. And the Los Angeles Rams, dead last. That's probably a big indication of why this game is starting to turn out the way it is.
On 3rd and 3, Willie Snead, can he throw it? Wide open and caught by Hightower, and he will roll into the end zone. Touchdown Saints.
Wow. Talk about throwing insult to injury or whatever this saying is. That is absolutely just pouring it on. And if you know the rules, Willie Snead's on top of your screen. Drew Brees can't be a receiver here because he's under the center, but the running back can, and nobody even looks at him. Wide open in the flat with acres of space. Good throw by Willie Snead. I didn't know he was a quarterback. He's got a touchdown completion, and it is a huge, almost insurmountable looking lead right now for the New Orleans Saints.
Willie Snead with a touchdown pass. And talk about rubbing it in. He was an all-purpose, all-state quarterback, Michigan's Player of the Year as a senior at Muskegon Heights in Michigan. Willie Snead, dialing up some memories. Willie Snead, he played for his father, Willie Snead, at 3 different high schools when he was at Michigan. I mentioned he played quarterback the year before. He was a receiver and caught passes from Kirk Cousins. Here he throws one with a 21-point lead.
I tell you what, I think every team has what they call a flea flicker Friday, and they put in these gadget-type plays, but you got a 21-point lead, and you're feeling good about yourself. Everything's going as planned. Why not throw it?
What a free agent pickup by the Saints team. Snead has been a reliable receiver, now showing quarterback skills as Benny Cunningham has some room. Will Lutz is over there, and Cunningham working his way down the sideline before he is run out of bounds. Well, an entertaining game that got out of hand. It's the 4th time the Saints have gained 500 yards or more on offense. That's the most of any team between the Saints and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Talk about offenses that score and put up points and a lot of yardage. Well, let's talk about the Saints in the bigger picture. If you give them the victory today, and it's not over yet, but what are their chances in your eyes with this offense of making a serious playoff run?
Well, with this offense, they can do whatever they want. I mean, they can score points at will. The defense is the one that has to step up, and they've done that so far in the second half. I think we were all somewhat surprised at the amount of success that the Rams had early in this game, but I got to tell you, man, in the second half, they have given up nothing to Jared Goff in this offense.
Goff firing and the catch made. That's Kendricks. Now, what do you think of a 21-point fourth quarter lead and a trick play like that?
Like I said, you know, there's no, it's not college football, but, you know, you got chances, and you know you have a defense right where you want them. I don't see any problem with it.
Sean Payton loves to call plays as Gurley is shoved backwards. Nick Fairley, who you talked about at the start of the broadcast, an improved player getting a second chance with the Rams, and then even a better chance, as he says, to play here for Sean Payton.
Oh, he's an interesting case because he'll be a free agent at the end of the year. Obviously, you draft Sheldon Rankins in the first round. He's a player much like Aaron Donald on the other side, but Nick Fairley, man, he has earned himself some money for sure with the way he's played the second half of this season.
9-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Goff hits Britt, and he puts a move on, gets knocked down closer to a first down. And he looks like he's in pain. Having a career year, his best season in his 8th season. Jeff Fisher was just saying this week because Britt was the healthiest he's been in a while, and now he's down in pain.
This game is sponsored by Sprint. Visit Sprint.com. Switch and save today.
Small screen, stadium-sized content. You can watch live local Sunday games on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. Picture there, frustrating day for the Rams. The 49 points, most by any team scored in a game this year. We have a total of 70 on the board. Fourth and a yard, Todd Gurley. And the Saint defense fighting as if this was a one-score game.
And I don't know that he got this. It doesn't look like it from where they're putting the spot down. Good push up front by that Saints defensive line. Can't get a spot here.
Well,
there it is. It's short. This is the type of game too, Chris, and the Saints defense has been playing a lot better of late. It helps that they've got some healthy corners that they were missing earlier in the year. You get Donnell Ellerbe back, that helps. But you're going against this offense, and it wasn't prolific by any means, but I'm really encouraged by what I've seen on film and what I've seen in the second half of this unit.
The measurement ruled again on the field and spotted short, and that's the way it looks. Don't know if there's anything there that Jeff Fisher might want to challenge, but going for it, understandable, and not getting it. So the Saints offense will take over. That defense, though, I think you talked about Dennis Allen, former head coach of the Raiders, who came in last year but got to run the defense for New Orleans this year. And as he got those healthy players back, you could see the defense fitting into what he wanted and playing the kind of defense that he wanted.
Well, it's also about understanding, too. And, you know, it's one thing to know what you're supposed to do. It's another thing to actually go out on the field and do it. And so you get success. It's hard to build when you're failing. They were failing earlier, but when you get success, it's a lot easier to go into the meeting room on Monday after a game and coach up what you've done well and say, yes, that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. And just more and more as the weeks have gone on, you've seen those successes happen, and they're just continuing to build on it.
Mark Ingram. And knocked down at the 35. Averaging 12 yards a carry, nearing the 140-yard mark for him today. He's caught a touchdown and run for a touchdown.
Well, he's been an explosive runner ever since that fumbling issue had him on the bench for a game. You know, he came back in that San Francisco game, had some explosive runs. He had the explosive run to start this second half, and that's just what he offers. I mean, he's a different type of back than what he's sharing carries with Hightower, but he's the guy that can hit home runs for you. We've seen it over and over again.
Mike 5-2, yellow. Yellow weighty. Yellow weighty.
Under 8 to play.
Ready. Blue weighty,
from the 35. Knocked backward, but did not go down. And runs out of bounds. Let's get a game break. Check in with Kurt in Los Angeles.
All right, and we will check in with Odell Beckham Jr. again, his second touchdown of the day against Cleveland. 96 yards receiving right now for Odell Beckham, and the Giants have a 27-13 lead. Trying to keep those Browns winless and win their sixth straight. Chris,
Did he just do the LeBron? Did he just do the LeBron?
I think that's what that looked like.
Disrespectful.
Well, the Giants have been a very respectable in that NFC East. Of course, the Cowboys won their 10th straight on Thanksgiving, beating NFC East rival Redskins despite a terrific performance from Kirk Cousins.
back right, 52. Ready.
Breeze is throwing. It's tipped and incomplete. And it'll be fourth down. Here comes the punting unit. Breeze frustrated even though it's a 49-21 lead. And the Falcons running away from Arizona. It's 37-19 now with 2 minutes left in that game in Atlanta. Cardinals played in the NFC Championship game last year with Carolina, and they'll fall further below 500.
They're a different team this year, aren't they? It's just quarterbacks getting beat up. This team, this St. Louis team, beat them and got after Carson Palmer. I imagine that's what's happening in Atlanta today.
Tavon Austin from inside the Ram 5. Dancing around and almost found an opening, but brought down around the 12-yard line. Jared Goff, 19 out of 30 with 3 touchdowns, but the Saints with 49 points up on the board and 6:50 to play. With Rondé Barber, Chris Myers at under 7 minutes to play. Jared Goff, who had an exciting first half with 3 touchdowns. Saints defense has settled in the second half. Saint offense has gone crazy. Over 200 yards passing through the air for Goff in his second NFL start. Todd Gurley the catch and knockdown run away. Kenny Vaccaro.
A nice form tackle by Kenny Vaccaro. Great rush by 94. He's right there underneath Ellerbe. Cam Jordan right through a double team. Moves the quarterback off the spot.
Goff's throwing a mix up there. Kenny Britt was on that side of the field, but it's third down. Jeff Fisher bringing the Rams back to Los Angeles for the first time in more than a couple of decades. And as a Rams coach, St. Louis to LA is yet to post a winning season.
Well, they like to play things close to the vest, and this game is, I think, couldn't be any more different than that. Wide open offense to start the game for the Rams, led to a wide open offense for the New Orleans Saints, and you're getting a shootout with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. More often than not, you're going to lose.
Pressure coming, and Goff goes down. Ellerbe with a sack. Third sack of Goff today.
And now it's just looking too easy. Just put too many guys over there, not enough bodies to block, and it's a race to the quarterback.
Rams and Saints a history if you go back in the old NFL West there when they had Atlanta and San Francisco with the LA Rams, and the Saints were all in the same Western division. That's when they played each other twice a year. Hecker booms this one out, and Bird is chasing it down and letting it go inside the 30. Excellent kick by Hecker. Speaking of history, first game in Saints franchise history in 1967 against the LA Rams. John Gilliam returning the opening kickoff, 94 yards for a touchdown. Roman Gabriel threw for 300 yards and a touchdown. He ran for another. The Rams won. Love those uniforms, by the way. Rams need to get back to those at some point. Hopefully they will. And there is John Gilliam in attendance today as the Saints had a number of players from their 50th anniversary team and that original team here to watch.
Ready. You ready? What's that?
Michael Thomas.
I wonder if they decided to throw the ball here to get Drew Brees over 300 yards. Maybe that's why he was so upset going to the sideline earlier, but 28-point lead, 5 minutes in the game. I don't know why you're not turning around handing the football off.
Yeah, well, a statement. You talk about a statement game. So Michael Thomas over 100 yards receiving, second time in his rookie season, and Drew Brees, seventh time this year, a 300-yard game, 103 in his Hall of Fame career. And Hightower running through Rams all the way down to the 31 of the Rams.
Well, this is just not good anymore. It's turned into somewhat of an embarrassment. And this is just gap running. Somebody on the second level's got to beat a block, make a tackle. They are not holding back. And you can tell they have a purpose today, and it is being served.
Well, they took the high road with any public statements, but what lies within is coming out on the field today. Barron with the tackle.
I've just never seen them give in like this to so many big plays. There's obviously being in close football games was the result of their defense. Their offense has been anemic all year. We know that. But the defense was always something you could count on. And it happens sometimes. I played on a bunch of good defenses where we got just exposed and gashed, and you can learn something from it but I just expected more out of them, and I know that would not be taking credit away from Drew Brees by saying what they've done today.
Flag down as Ingram goes out of bounds.
Holding, offense number 29, 10-yard penalty, second down.
That call on John Kuhn, the fullback. Saints have had a number of big plays against a Ram defense that in the last 4 games had only allowed 12.5 points per game and only allowed 253 yards of offense. Saints are up around 550.
Liz, you're good. Ready. You ready?
Mark Ingram again. Ogletree finishing that play off. Let's head down to Jennifer.
Well, Chris, this matchup with Greg Williams isn't just personal to Sean Payton. It is also personal to Drew Brees. He had to serve as a de facto coach in some ways because of the roller coaster of suspensions. Don't forget, different coaches coming in and out that year that Sean Payton was gone. Aaron Kromer for a little bit, Joe Vitt for a little bit, and Drew had to shoulder much of the responsibility. His game suffered for it that season, so you can bet he hasn't forgotten about that either.
Well, he and Sean Payton, since they have come together with this Saints team, have done amazing things. Sean Payton next month will turn 53 years old. His 11th season as head coach does not include the 2012 season when he dealt with that suspension. But since he has come together with Drew Brees over the last decade, the Saints are always a threat, and especially offensively. As we are nearing the 2-minute warning, and the Saints are getting closer to their 5th win of the season after starting out 0-3. A dramatic win when Drew Brees returned to San Diego and holding up big numbers today. We've reached the 2-minute warning in New Orleans. The Saints in control.
Today's game is sponsored by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
All of today's NFL action.
I'm feeling pretty good about my Seahawks Super Bowl pick.
You shouldn't feel good about any of your picks. Undisputed, America's fastest growing sports show, 9:30 Eastern, FS1.
Saints lining up to punt. The Ram defense, last 4 games, they allowed a total of 50 points, but they've allowed 49 alone in today's game. Nice try, but it's a touchback, so Ram offense for the Rams will take the field, trailing 49-21. Well, you and I will be here in the Superdome as the Lions come to town. Boy, they've been hot. That should be this is where Matthew Stafford, #1 overall pick, made his professional debut and put up some touchdowns, but lost to the Saints and Drew Brees. And then in the division, Tampa Bay twice, and then Atlanta, which won today 38-19 and leads the NFC South.
Yeah, unique that they played Tampa Bay twice in 3 weeks there, but the schedule looks favorable, I think, and sets them up for a really big matchup week 17 in Atlanta to see who's going to make the playoffs here in the NFC South. But a lot left to play out here in the next 5 weeks.
Free agent running back Malcolm Brown has come in and carried Todd Gurley out of the game with 13 carries and 50 yards. The Rams at New England and then home against the Falcons. Thursday at Seattle. They have the 49ers at the LA Coliseum on Christmas Eve, and then finish with the Arizona Cardinals also at home. And the good news is that they snapped out of that offensive skid that had them averaging around 10 points a game, putting 21 up, but that was all in the first half. In fact, as Malcolm Brown carries, the Saints defense, Rondé, 1 second-half touchdown allowed in the last 6 games, and that includes this one today.
Well, they played great, and there's no question that they buckled down when they needed to on this Rams offense. But going back to Los Angeles, the one thing you can hang your hat on is that we saw something in Jared Goff today. Saw him make some good throws. He made some bad ones, but we saw him make a bunch of good throws, some really nice decisions, and honestly growth from week 1 to week 2 of his starting in his career, and it's something that they can build on. They're not going to like this result, not going to like the way their defense played, but you can build on some of the things their young quarterback did today.
Interesting that Rob Havenstein, the right tackle, had just one shoe during that play. Can you play in your socks? Is that legal NFL equipment? There he is. See that? It's not a white shoe. You got to tough it out down in the trenches, regardless of the score.
I don't even know what happened to his other shoe. It's gone. But yes, big win for the Saints. They needed it today to stay in that race for the NFC South.
This has been a Michael Burks production, directed by Michael Frank. Kevin McCloskey on audio, always outstanding. James Petralka and Rick Odioso in the booth. And we will have more from New Orleans, where the Saints have defeated the Rams 49-21.